Hello everyone. Welcome to today's video. I am Margaret, and at 79 years old, I've discovered an important secret to a happier life in my later years. Some things are best kept to yourself, even from your closest children. As we age, our relationships with adult children often undergo subtle changes. They care about us and want to help, but sometimes this concern can turn into excessive intervention, even leading to a loss of dignity and independence. Today, I want to share 4 things you shouldn't tell your children, based on my personal experiences and the wisdom of many elderly friends. In sociological research, here is a phenomenon called role reversal. When parents age, children begin to take on the role of caregivers. While this transition is natural to some degree, it often goes too far, leading to elderly people being infantized and losing their decision-making authority and autonomy. The advice I am sharing today is designed to prevent this from happening and help us maintain our dignity and autonomy in our senior years. I begin. If you are 65 or older, please type the number 1 in the comments. If you are an adult child concerned about your parents' quality of life in their senior years, type the number 2. I'd love to know who's watching this video so I can better understand my audience. Now, let's explore these 4 things you shouldn't tell your children and why keeping this information to yourself can make your later years more peaceful and happy. Please stick around until the end, because the 3rd point might surprise you, and I'll share some practical communication techniques to help you establish healthy boundaries without damaging relationships. The first thing not to tell your children: minor health discomforts and everyday physical changes. When I was 75, I noticed occasional pain in my knees, especially when the weather changed. At first, I told my daughter Sarah every time I felt uncomfortable what happened. She became overly concerned, calling daily to check on me, insisting on taking me to various specialists, and even suggesting I move closer to her so she could take care of me. Research shows that adult children often overreact to their parents' health issues. Psychologists call this catastrophic thinking. When children hear about a parent's minor pain, they immediately imagine the worst-case scenario. This is partly because they fear losing their parents and partly because modern society has closely linked aging with fragility. My neighbor Tom had a similar experience. He mentioned to his son that he occasionally felt dizzy, and his son immediately took away his car keys, insisting he couldn't drive anymore. Tom lost his independence and became depressed, while the dizziness was actually just a minor issue that needed medication adjustment. Later, he had to confront his son with his doctor to prove he was still fit to drive. Even then, this experience damaged their relationship and left Tom feeling stripped of his dignity as an adult. Another friend named Alice casually mentioned at a family gathering. After that, her children began secretly testing her memory, questioning her decisions, and even discussing guardianship behind her back. This was just mild forgetfulness in the normal aging process, but her casual comment triggered unnecessary panic and intervention from her family. The reality is that as we age, our bodies experience various small changes and discomforts. A study of adults over 65 showed that the average person experiences 3 to 4 or physical discomforts weekly, what doctors call subclinical symptoms, not serious enough to constitute illness, but noticeable nonetheless. If we tell our children about each one, it can easily lead to overreactions, not only increasing their anxiety, but potentially causing us to lose our autonomy. It's worth noting that many age-related minor symptoms are temporary and resolve on their own. Medical research shows that approximately 70% of minor discomforts reported by seniors improve naturally within 2 weeks without professional intervention. Seeking medical help too early can lead to unnecessary tests and treatments and reinforce a self-image of fragility. This doesn't mean we should hide important health issues. If there are serious or persistent symptoms, we should tell family members and seek medical help. But for those common elderly minor complaints, occasional joint pain, momentary forgetfulness, or temporary fatigue, it's better to assess and manage them ourselves. First, I've adopted a simple but effective method to decide when to tell my children about my health issue. I call it the 2 to 2 -2 rule. Unless symptoms persist for more than 2 weeks, or the pain exceeds 2 on a scale of 10, or it clearly affects more than 2 activities in my daily life. I don't tell my children. Instead, I record my symptoms, consult a doctor if necessary, and might mention it after the problem is resolved, when it won't cause panic. This approach not only protects my independence, but also reduces unnecessary worry for my children. More importantly, it allows me to maintain control over my own health, rather than becoming a passive recipient of care. Some practical self-health management tools include keeping a health journal, using pain or symptom rating scales, learning basic self-care skills, and establishing a good relationship with a primary care physician. If you've had similar experiences where sharing minor health issues led to family members becoming overly worried, please type the number 3 in the comments. I am curious how many people face this situation. The second thing not to tell your children: financial situation and daily spending decisions after retirement. I found my children becoming intensely interested in my financial decisions, especially when I decided to travel to Alaska after my 78th birthday. My son James was very concerned. "Mom, are you sure you can afford this? This money should be saved for medical emergencies. Don't you think this is a bit wasteful?" Behind this reaction lies a widespread misconception that older people are no longer able or shouldn't enjoy life and make financial decisions. This attitude stems from stereotypes about aging, viewing later years primarily as a time to economize and prepare for the future rather than a time to continue exploring and enjoying life. Social gerontologists have found that financial autonomy is a key factor in the psychological well-being of seniors. Losing control over one's money can lead not only to depression and anxiety. Simply put, when we're no longer allowed to make our own financial decisions, our brains stop engaging in this type of thinking, leading to deterioration of these skills. My friend Alan experienced something more extreme. He bought a new television, and when his son found out, he became very angry, thinking his father was wasting his inheritance. This made Alan feel insulted and controlled, as if he had no right to enjoy the money he had worked hard to accumulate. Later, Alan discovered his son was monitoring his bank accounts, an invasion of privacy that severely damaged their relationship. Alan eventually had to change banks and limit the financial information his son could access, although this left him feeling guilty and sad. Another friend, Doris, took a more proactive approach to this issue. When her daughter began questioning her shopping decisions, she arranged a family meeting with a financial advisor. The advisor helped create a clear financial plan, showing her daughter that her mother's spending was well within sustainable limits. This transparent but bounded approach both eased her daughter's concerns. As we age, many children begin to think they should protect their parents' finances, even take over financial decisions. While this concern comes from good intentions, it can strip us of our independence and dignity. As long as we remain mentally sound, our money should be ours to decide how to use. Financial gerontology experts recommend seniors adopt a transparent but bounded approach to financial communication. This means sharing your overall financial situation and long-term plans with your children, but retaining autonomy over daily spending decisions. Research shows this balanced approach can address children's concerns about their parents' financial security while protecting seniors' independence and dignity. I've found that establishing clear financial boundaries requires being proactive rather than reactive. This includes, first, having an honest financial conversation with your children in advance, explaining that your overall financial situation is secure, but daily decisions will remain independent. Second, consider setting up a dedicated emergency account or folder containing all important financial information accessible to your children only when truly needed. Third, if you are concerned about possible future power of attorney that clearly specifies when and how your children should be involved in financial decisions. Fourth, use modern financial technology, like automatic bill payments and fraud alerts, to maintain independence while reducing risks. Of course, important financial planning, such as estates, health insurance, or long-term care plans, usually requires family involvement. But daily expenses, small luxuries, or charities I want to support, these decisions are best made on my own, without needing to inform them about everything. My approach now is maintain overall financial transparency, letting my children know I have sufficient retirement funds and savings. But I no longer share details about specific daily spending decisions. I tell them I'd managed my finances my entire life, and these skills didn't disappear when I retired. This boundary both protects my autonomy and reduces unnecessary conflicts. Scientific research shows that maintaining financial control is directly linked to longevity. A long-term study of over 3,000 seniors found that those who maintained financial autonomy lived an average of 3 to 5 years longer than peers who lost this control. Researchers believe this is related to maintaining cognitive activity, reducing stress, and preserving a positive self-identity. If you also feel your children are overly involved in your financial decisions, please type the number 4 in the comments. This seems to be a common challenge for many seniors. The third thing not to tell your children: your true thoughts about their life choices. This might be the most sensitive point. As parents, we usually have our own opinions about our children's life choices, whether it's their career path, marriage partner, parenting style, or lifestyle. As we age, we accumulate considerable life experience and wisdom, naturally wanting to share these insights. However, the most important lesson I've learned is this: as adults, children have the right to make their own choices and their own mistakes. Even if I see them heading down what I consider the wrong path, unless they explicitly ask for my opinion, it's best to remain silent. Psychologists call this phenomenon boundary crossing, when parents unconsciously impose their expectations and values on adult children. Research shows this behavior is one of the main sources of family conflict, especially in intergenerational relationships. More importantly, this intervention often backfires. The more adult children feel criticized and interfered with by their parents, the more likely they are to make decisions contrary to their parents' expectations, simply to maintain their autonomy. My old friend Martha learned this lesson the hard way. She constantly criticized her daughter-in-law's parenting style, thinking she was spoiling the children too much. As a result, her son and daughter-in-law began limiting her contact with her grandchildren, causing tense family relationships for several years. Making matters more complicated, Martha's daughter-in-law felt the criticism was not just a rejection of her parenting abilities. Psychologists explain that parenting styles are often deeply intertwined with personal identity and values, making criticism in this area particularly hurtful. With the help of family therapy, Martha finally understood that her intervention not only damaged her relationship with her son and daughter-in-law, but actually undermined the family values she had hoped to pass on. Only when she learned to remain silent and respect their choices did tensions begin to ease. Now she enjoys time with her grandchildren and finds she can transmit values through example rather than criticism. In contrast, my neighbor Frank took a different approach when his daughter decided to quit her stable job to start a business. Although he was worried inside, he chose to support rather than criticize. He told me, "I have to remember she's navigating a world vastly different from mine. My experiences and assumptions may be outdated." Frank learned a technique psychologists call curious inquiry. When he was puzzled by his daughter's decisions, instead of offering advice, he asked open-ended questions. How did you come to this decision? What factors did you consider? What challenges do you anticipate? This approach not only made his daughter feel respected, but helped her think more clearly herself. 3 years later, his daughter's business is thriving, and their relationship is closer than ever before. A study on intergenerational relationships shows that families with the best relationships between elderly parents and adult children share one common characteristic: parents respect their children's boundaries and autonomy. This respect creates a reciprocal atmosphere. Children are more willing to seek their parents' advice, precisely because they know they won't be forced to accept it. I've found that after 75, it's best to accept a fact. Our children need our support and love, not criticism and lessons. Even when our opinions come from love and concern, unsolicited advice is often seen as interference and disrespect. The key to effective communication lies in distinguishing between sharing and intervening. When adult children share their decisions, elderly parents have several possible ways to respond. First is reflective listening. What does this decision mean to you? This shows you care about their feelings and perspectives rather than immediately judging. Second is affirming their capability. I trust you've thought this through carefully. This expresses confidence in their judgment. Third is offering conditional advice. If you'd like to hear my thoughts, I'd be happy to share. This lets them choose whether to accept your opinion. Finally, supporting their autonomy. Whatever decision you make, I support you. This reinforces your unconditional love for them. I found this approach creates a surprising effect. When I stopped trying to influence my children, they actually sought my advice more frequently. It's precisely because they know I won't impose my opinions that they feel safe exploring my perspectives. If you've ever experienced relationship tension because you expressed opinions about your children's life choices, please type the number 5 in the comments. I believe this is a dilemma many families have experienced. The fourth thing, not to tell your children personal, emotional, and spiritual needs. People often think that as we age, our emotional and spiritual needs diminish. The truth is quite the opposite. Research shows that many elderly people focus more on their inner world than when they were younger, having deeper emotional and spiritual yearnings. Psychologist Erik Erikson's life cycle theory points out that late life is the stage of integrity versus despair, where we seek meaning, connection, and transcendence. Night mice research also shows that with age, the brain regions associated with emotional and meaning processing actually become more active rather than diminishing. However, our children, busy with their own careers and families, often focus only on our material and medical needs, neglecting these deeper needs. Worse, when we express these needs, they may not understand or even mock them. My friend Dorothy fell in love with a 78-year-old gentleman when she was 80. When she told her children, they were unsupportive, thinking romance at this age is ridiculous, and even implied it might be about money to avoid conflict. Dorothy eventually ended what could have been a relationship, bringing happiness to her later years. 2 years later, Dorothy told me she regretted yielding to her children's pressure. She said, "I lost what might have been the only chance for romance in the final stage of my life, just because my children didn't think elderly people should have such desires." Dorothy's experience reveals a common problem. Younger people often fail to understand that the emotional needs of seniors are real and important. Gerontological research shows that intimate relationships in later life significantly impact health. Seniors with partners typically live longer, have lower rates of depression, and maintain better cognitive abilities. However, social prejudice and family opposition often prevent older adults from pursuing this happiness. Another friend, Robert, began exploring spiritual questions after his wife passed away, attending meditation classes and philosophical discussions. His children scoffed at this, thinking he was being brainwashed, and even threatened to intervene. His daughter said, "Dad, what you need is more social activities, not these ethereal things." Robert eventually chose to stop sharing his spiritual exploration, even though it was the most important source of support in his later years. Robert later told me, "I understand the kids are worried I might be scammed or led astray. What they don't understand is that this spiritual exploration brings me a peace and sense of purpose far beyond what they imagine." Later, he found a spiritual exploration group of peers where he could freely share his thoughts and feelings without fear of judgment. Aging psychologists note that the phenomenon of spiritual pursuits becoming more important in later life is called gerotranscendence. This isn't conversion in a religious sense, but a broader process of seeking meaning, connection, and understanding. Research shows that supporting rather than suppressing this natural tendency is crucial for seniors' mental health. For seniors, emotional and spiritual needs are just as important as cognitive and physical health, but are often overlooked by children and the medical system. A survey showed that 80% of children believe they understand their parents' medical needs, but only 30% say they understand their parents' emotional and spiritual needs. I believe our emotional and spiritual needs should be respected, not judged, as long as they don't harm ourselves or others. Now, I selectively share these personal journeys, only telling friends who can understand and respect them without needing to inform my children about everything. Establishing an emotional support circle is one of the most effective strategies I've found. This circle includes people who can understand and respect my inner needs, which might be same-age friends, support group members, and sometimes even open-minded younger people, not always my children. This diverse support network ensures my emotional and spiritual needs are met without depending on children who may not understand these needs. Late life romance, friendships, hobbies, spiritual pursuits, these are private matters. Unless children show genuine understanding and support, sometimes maintaining privacy can protect these precious experiences. Research shows that older adults who live according to their true needs, rather than others' expectations, are not only happier, but often live longer. Inner authenticity is considered one of the key proprietors of well-being in old age. If you had similar experiences, feeling unable to share your deepest emotional and spiritual needs with your children, please type the number 6 in the comments. In this video, I want to emphasize, these suggestions are not encouraging elderly people to be dishonest with their children or build secrets. Rather, this is about establishing healthy boundaries, protecting personal space and dignity, while maintaining harmonious family relationships. So how can we maintain close and open relationships with our children while not sharing these things? Here are some practical tips. First, actively share positive things. Tell them about your achievements, happy experiences, and healthy habits. This way, they'll see you as vibrant and capable. Reducing unnecessary worry, research shows that positive communication creates an assumption of competence, making children more likely to respect their parents' decisions. Second, when children intervene excessively, express feelings using I statements rather than accusations. For example, say, "When you make decisions for me, I feel my abilities are underestimated," instead of, "You are always controlling me." Psychologists call this approach nonviolent communication, which can express boundaries without creating conflict. An effective template is, when you describe behavior, "I feel emo because I need. I would like you to," specific request. For example, "When you contact my doctor without my consent, I feel stripped of my autonomy because I need to control my own medical decisions. I would like you to ask for my opinion first before taking action." Third, choose appropriate times and settings to discuss sensitive topics. One-on-one conversations are usually more suitable than family gatherings. Psychological research shows that conversations held in calm, private environments are more likely to produce positive outcomes. Avoid discussing important issues during high-stress or time-limited situations, such as holidays or emergencies. Fourth, seek support systems outside the family. Elderly friends, support groups, or counselors can provide understanding and advice, especially for issues you can't share with your children. Research shows that diverse social networks are crucial for seniors' mental health, and relying solely on family support is often inadequate. Fifth, consider using advance directives, not just for medical decisions, but also for lifestyle preferences. Clearly documenting your preferences regarding residence, daily activities, financial management, and personal freedoms can protect your wishes when communication becomes difficult in the future. Finally, remember to express gratitude. Even if we don't accept all our children's suggestions, we should thank them for their concern and good intentions. This helps maintain a positive relationship atmosphere. Research shows that expressions of gratitude strengthen interpersonal connections and reduce conflict even when there are disagreements. Another important strategy is information dispersion, not centralizing all information with one child, but sharing different types of information with different children based on their strengths and relationships. For example, one child might be better at handling medical issues, another might be more suitable for discussing finances, and a third might have more understanding of your social and emotional needs. This approach can prevent any single child from overly intervening in your overall life. If you find these strategies useful or have other ways to maintain healthy boundaries with your children, please type the number 7 in the comments and share your experiences. To summarize, happy family relationships after 75 require balancing intimacy and independence, honesty and boundaries. By carefully choosing what information to share with our children, we can protect our autonomy and dignity while still enjoying the warmth and support of family. Social gerontologists call this balance intimacy at a distance. A relationship pattern that can simultaneously meet needs for connection and autonomy. Research shows this relationship pattern is associated with higher life satisfaction in old age, benefiting not only seniors but adult children as well. This isn't about concealment or deception, but about wisely managing information flow to promote respect and happiness for everyone. Remember, even in old age, we still have the right to keep certain things private, not only as self-protection, but also as a way to ensure healthy development of family relationships. If you liked this video and want to learn more about quality of life in senior years and family relationships, please subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. In our next video, we'll discuss how to effectively express your needs and boundaries to your children without damaging relationships.